Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and today I'm excited to welcome Bespoke Shoemaker Francis Waplinger back into our studio. Francis is part of a new generation of bespoke shoemakers doing work at the absolute highest level. Of course, he's been on this channel already. You've seen the video of him taking my bespoke measurements, and I'm excited to welcome him back into the studio for my first fitting. So Francis, hey, thank you so much for coming down and coming to visit in Texas and allowing us to film this first fitting. For those that maybe haven't seen the other videos, kind of put this into perspective in terms of where we are in the bespoke process.
All right, well, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure to be here. So where we are, so basically, you put the order in, I took your measurements, and now we're back, or I'm back here, and we're gonna do your first fitting.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say halfway, but we're well on our way to the final pair of shoes. But part of especially the first pair, it is a process. Mm-hmm. So this is the next step.
Next step. So show us what we have right here. So I know you of course brought the shoes and the last. So this is, an actual pair of fitting shoes. It's looks like a real pair of shoes almost.
Yeah, so these are the fitting shoes that I make. Different makers have slightly different techniques, but basically what I do is I have the last, I adjust it to your measurements, and then I make a pair of shoes on it.
Yeah.
But with this pair, it's the lesser cut of the leather, and this one, it's a different color than you ordered, but it is the same French box calf.
Yeah.
And then it's a glue construction.
Okay.
So the idea with these is to make something that looks, feels, very similar to the final shoe. It's the same pattern. I left a few details off just, for time. The finishing's rougher, obviously. But really, with the fitting, I'm trying to get an accurate read on how they fit. Yeah. And you're going to feel how they fit and give me feedback. So I can, if needed, I can make further adjustments.
Yeah. So why is it that we need a fitting? You've taken measurements. A lot of people will say, well, why you took measurements, why not just go straight to finish?
In my mind, really, we want to double check the measurements.
Okay.
Make sure the measurements I took are accurate and correct. Make sure I translated those measurements into the last.
Okay.
So I'm kind of going from, I'm taking 3D measurements and then I'm transferring it into a structural form.
Yeah.
And another part of it is just to see how those measurements feel, basically, on your feet.
Yeah. Okay.
And, each person, both your feet are not going to be the exact same. So we're checking that. And then also part of it, too, it depends on the leather. So this leather you used, it's kind of semi-firm, classic box calf. But this leather, would feel different on your feet than if you ordered a pair of suede shoes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors we want to check. And we're also checking, too, how the shoes feel when you're moving in them.
Yeah, okay. And I guess one of the benefits of a bespoke pair of shoes is, once you get that last, really honed in on, or nailed, if you will, you don't necessarily need to do fittings every single time you're having a pair of shoes made. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's really the first pair that is this kind of long process with the measurements. At least on average, I do 2 fittings, can be 3, 4, depending. Sometimes I'll do a first fitting with someone, it's spot on. But really, I want people to take away that it is a process.
Yeah. And the process is what gives the bespoke shoe, the final product, its integrity, is the fact that it's gone through this process. It's a part of, the bespoke process itself.
Exactly. That's one of the elements. And another thing too, we're checking the fit. Also with the fitting shoe, I'm checking the design.
Okay.
So I want to see how the shoe looks on your foot as well. And then, with bespoke shoes, it's really the fit we're looking for, the construction.
Okay.
I can do things that a machine can't. And then it's really part of the customization.
Yeah.
So the client can choose their leather. They want a softer shoe, a more formal shoe, firmer, more casual, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's another component of the bespoke process
Yeah,
as well.
You've got some beautiful shoes on right here that I very much exemplify that custom part of the bespoke process.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Very interesting kind of combination of, what is this, navy patent leather and then a light blue kind of antiqued.
Yeah, so it's a burnishing calf.
Okay.
So it's actually quite lighter, the color, and I just put a little cream on, and I thought the balance, you have this super, super shiny leather with kind of a matte leather, and for me personally, I like the contrast.
Yeah.
It's a little more flashy or funky, whatever you want to call it, a little bit less reserved.
I mean, again, you're doing a pair of dark brown, simple cap-toe Oxfords for me,
Yeah.
right? That represents, one end of the spectrum of being very kind of classic and conservative. I'm primarily at that point accessing the fit and the construction. I could go out and find a dark brown pair of cap-toe Oxfords anywhere.
Yes.
Right, but it's the fit and the construction that I'm really accessing.
Yeah.
Right, whereas something like this, you get the fit, you get the construction, but then you can also, as you've seen right here, do almost anything in terms of design.
Exactly. And I think, too, one thing you might not get from a dark brown cap toe is just the quality of the materials. That's one thing, I'm using the best materials I can find. It's European leathers from the top tanneries.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, it's funny because I've had some clients that they come to me and it's, maybe one of their first pairs of bespoke shoes. And they do something more conservative that they can wear with a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But I've had other people where they'll get something custom and they're like, this is custom, so I just want to do a two-tone all out. So there's kind of both perspectives, which for me is fun. I get to do a little bit of both.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeps it interesting. 'Cause,
Exactly.
your background is in art, right? So
Yes.
I would imagine the creative side is probably
Yes.
what you enjoy a lot.
So I like being creative. I like doing the design work, but at the same time, I do appreciate and enjoy that I'm not reinventing the wheel either.
Okay.
So it's really finding that balance, which I enjoy.
So, and this first fitting, what is it you're looking for and how does it work? Because I've seen a bunch of first fittings and everyone does it a little bit differently. So what's your goal at the end of this?
So my goal, first I'll have you try the shoes on, and then I really want to get your feedback.
Okay.
How they feel. Are they too spacious in certain areas? Are they too tight? And we're just kind of seeing how the movement feels, when you stand up, move around, how they feel on your feet.
Yeah. Okay.
And, I'm going to kind of feel, the shoes on your feet, and I'll have my opinion. And, some things might feel good or not, or we have to take some of the last down here. But then I also, I want your feedback. Because we do have to work together, on this type of project.
And then you're taking those and then adjusting the last. Can we see the last right there?
Sure.
So this is...
So we have these lasts here. Put those up there. So I start, with a standard size, standard last. This is my toe shape that I developed. And then I make adjustments accordingly to your measurements.
Yeah.
And then, depending on how these fit, I might have to make other
more
adjustments.
So based off the information you get from this fitting, you'll go back to the last, build it up, file it down,
Exactly.
make whatever those adjustments are to get us closer to that perfect fit that you're looking for.
Exactly. Ideally, there would be no more adjustments.
Yeah.
The fitting would be perfect, but, that's usually not the case.
Yeah, okay.
And usually it's several fittings and kind of, getting your feedback as well.
Yeah. Do you feel that the fittings are an integral part of the process?
Definitely.
Yeah.
For me, they are. I know different makers have different opinions, techniques. Some, will do more fittings or less. So everyone kind of has their own process. But for bespoke shoes, for me, how I like to work, 100%. I wouldn't do a bespoke pair without a fitting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's try these on and see how they fit.
Sounds good.
What do you say? All right, so I'll take these off.
Yep. Let me get these.
The side.
There you go.
Here we go.
So I'll lace these up for you once you get them on.
Sound of a pair of bespoke shoes going
Yes.
on. The rush of air.
Always a good sign.
Yep.
Let's see. All right, so I'll lace these up for you, just making sure the tongue's in the right place. Now you lace your shoes pretty snug.
Pretty snug.
Okay, I'll aim for that. How's that feeling?
Good.
Okay,
I mean, the shoes feel great, kind of out of the gate.
good. Yeah, I just like to make sure too I lace them up kind of similar to what you would do yourself, just so we can get an accurate feel. How about that one?
Yep, feels good.
Okay. As I said, I never get used to doing this backwards.
Okay.
There you go.
So what are we looking for on this first pair? I
So
mean, they
right
feel
now-
good. I mean, I've got good room kind of through the toe box.
Yeah, so I'm
Nice.
really looking for how they fit, how they're sitting on your feet. With you sitting down, obviously it's a good sign. You know, the facing and where the laces are, it's not all the way closed. We have a little bit of room here. Probably could use a touch more, so I might take a little bit down on the last here.
Okay.
Just because over time, you know, the leather and the lace holes, they do stretch a little bit. So we want to give this opening here in the Oxford,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit of wiggle room. So over time, you know, for the longevity of the shoe, there'll still be room to tighten them up.
And you never want it completely closed, right?
No.
You don't want them to kiss because why is that? Because a lot of people say, "Well, there's a gap."
Yeah,
Supposed to be there, but why?
So it's basically for the longevity of the shoe. So over time, the lace holes, you know, they're going to stretch a little bit. Also the leather, you know, it stretches a little bit. It's, you know, high quality leather, so it's not stretching that much. But when you're thinking 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the road, you want this space to be a little bit apart. Over time, the leather will stretch and it still gives you room to lace them tightly.
Yeah.
Another thing is based on the temperature. So if it's really cold out, your foot, you know, it's not going to be as big, kind of is a little more restricted. If it's really hot out, your foot might swell up a little. So you want a little bit of wiggle room based on, you know, how your feet change, whether it's the weather or whether it's if you're wearing them for a 12-hour day, your feet might swell up a little bit. So it just gives a little wiggle room for you to adjust the fit based on that.
Yeah, because if they're totally kissing, then at that point you can't tighten them anymore.
Exactly. And we do not want that.
Yeah. Okay.
So other stuff I'm looking for here is just how they're fitting, you know, around your foot. It should be, I kind of aim for a glove-like feel. You know, I don't want them crushing your feet, but also I don't want large pockets of air. So it's really just seeing how it's, you know, surrounding your foot here. Everything to me feels, you know, pretty good.
What about creasing? I mean, that's another part of the bespoke process. I mean, a bespoke pair of shoes shouldn't have excessive creasing. Where is that controlled in this process right
So right here, there's always going to be creasing right in this area here on the vamp. You need some space.
Yeah, I mean, it'll crease whenever you flex.
Yeah. So what I'm looking for is pushing here. So there's a little bit of room. If I was pushing here and the shoe just kept going down to your foot, I would say, in my vocabulary, there's too much air.
Okay.
So there'd be too much air in between the uppers and your foot. Right now there's a little bit, but really I'm looking kind of down here, and I want the leather really resting on that big toe. Where here there can be a little bit of air, just we don't want too much. Because we do want some room for your foot to move a little bit when you're walking and when the shoe's flexing.
Okay.
So it's really trying to find a balance. You know, we don't want to be crushing your foot, but we don't want the shoes kind of flopping around on your feet either.
Okay, great.
So if you can stand up, that's another thing I like to look at. You know, just how the shoes kind of feel on your feet. You know, when you stand up, there's more weight on your feet, and everyone's feet splay out a bit more. So for me, everything's feeling pretty good. As I said, I'd probably take right here on each shoe down. But then also, I would like your feedback.
Yeah. Now, whenever you're doing this right here, are you adjusting the last or the pattern?
I would adjust the last. Take the last down just a little bit to make the space here on the facing a little bit larger. If it was, you know, a significant adjustment, then I would have to go back and check the pattern.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would say is this left foot, whenever it flexes, kind of pushes the heel in to the back of the shoe a little bit. The right one feels great, right? That's comfortable. Right, it flexes, feels nice. The left one, I'd say, feels a touch short, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, that in my layman's terms.
Yeah. So it's a little bit, how about when you're just sitting?
Yeah, let me stand
It's
up
more when you're kind of in movement.
here.
Okay. What I would do is just make a little bit more room in there to give a little bit more room for your foot to move.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the idea would be, you know, you don't have the sensation of the foot being pushed back into the heel of the shoe.
So you're adjusting that on the forward part of the shoe, not the rear
On this
part.
one, I would start with that adjustment. Probably just build a little more room in here for your foot to come forward. So it's, you know, it's not hitting and pushing back.
Pushing back, okay.
But that's kind of where the fitting comes in. You know, there's no, you know, part of it is looking at the measurements, following that, but then, you know, part of it is your feedback. And sometimes there's a, you know, tiny bit with the fitting that I feel like is trial and error.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I'll make an adjustment and it's really spot on. You know, it solves the problem. And once in a while, there's a little bit of kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of the beauty of the process.
Yeah. Okay. Anything you need to mark up, or is that kind of pretty straightforward just in terms of kind of what you need to do from an
Yeah, so what I would
standpoint?
do is I'm just going to mark up the facing a little bit, just right here. So me marking here, I'm going to mark right here, and then I'm going to put a -1. So to me, that shows me I just need to take that down ever so slightly.
And does the 1 mean anything, or is it?
No, for me, it's just,
It's a little smidge.
yeah.
Take it down a smidge, as the British
Exactly.
would say.
If I put a 2, then I'm gonna really do some sanding. I'm gonna make some notes. You know, that I kind of need to put a little bit more room in here, and this one feels, you know, that your foot's being kind of pushed back into the heel. And then what I like to do is take some photos. So if you just want to stand up real quick. So I just want to see how these are fitting.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the fittings, it can go on a little bit longer depending on, you know, the client, what they see. But, you know, you are experienced, you know, with Bespoke shoes. It's not your first pair.
Hardly experienced, just beginning. So talk through this a little bit then. So this is the last, right? These are the adjustments that you made. So you built this out
Yes.
a little bit, and then here I would imagine the same.
Yes, exactly.
So whenever you were looking through my original measurements, I mean, what was it about my foot that made these adjustments kind of work into the
So when I was looking at the tracings, here, it was obvious, you know, I could see a lot of the tracing coming off. And that's kind of my first thing I look. So I do roughly look at the measurements, but I have the tracing of your foot.
Okay.
And when I put the last down on that tracing, you know, sometimes it just sticks out.
Okay.
If I can see a whole lot of the tracing and the last isn't even close, I know I need to add some
You need
material.
to add some. Okay.
So it's a balance of taking the measurements and then, you know, checking what it is around and also looking at the two-dimensional tracing as well.
yeah.
And it appeared here we needed some more material, and then also here. And this here, it's really for the big toe, just to make a little more room there. So when I go back to my workshop, I'm going to sand this down a bit right here on the cone. And then on the left shoe, I'll add a little bit more material here, just to kind of give your foot a little more room so it's not being pushed back in the shoe.
Okay. It's exciting to kind of see these things coming together. I'm getting excited. I like the toe shape. It's a nice soft round.
Yep.
Right? That's how you would describe it?
Yeah, it's kind of a classic soft round toe. I'm kind of, right now, I've been inspired by the kind of classic American look of the 40s, 50s.
Yeah. 6 eyelets, which is another
Exactly.
element of...
So there's a few subtle things I'm trying to do, kind of make my shoes, you know, kind of their own lane visually,
yeah.
if you will. And with this fitting, you know, I'm pretty happy. I don't expect perfection, you know, at the first or even second fitting sometimes. But it's, you know, if there's something for people to take away, I really try to, you know, tell people that it is a process.
Yeah.
Kind of a delayed gratification.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
The ideal is to have a beautiful pair of shoes that is comfortable, that you want to, you know, wear every day.
Well, it seems that we're well on our way right here, and I'm very excited. And of course, having them made by an American bespoke shoemaker is a rare opportunity. And so it's exciting to see, you know, the United States begin to really develop a new kind of generation of bespoke artisans, doing work at a high level.
Well, thank you. I mean, I'm looking forward to this pair. It's classic. I'm having fun with the project. And I feel like, partly of what, I try to do with each client, and I know what you do, is you're kind of educating people on something they might not know. They might not know about this process. They might not even know that bespoke shoes are a thing.
Yeah, that they exist.
So I feel like there is a renaissance of interest in the States. Obviously, we know in Europe that people have always been interested, it seems like.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited that I feel that there's a interest coming stateside, and people have an appreciation for handmade products and products made in the States. So for me, that's another exciting component of this process.
Yeah. So doing our best really to promote, of course, quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. And I appreciate, your work, and the same.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. So what's the next step? So you'll take these back, you'll make the adjustments, and then about how long should it be until, will you go to another fitting, or will you go straight to finish on the next pair?
I think with these, I would like to do another fitting. I feel like, we're close enough that probably for the next fitting, I could just send them to you. But yeah, I like to just really double, triple check for the first pair.
Yeah.
If this, was the second, third pair, and there's a few tiny things, and you have worn them 6 months, a year, then all right, we'll just do a little adjustment. But for the first pair, I really try to, get them spot on.
Yeah, great, exciting. Well, Francis, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us, and for this beautiful pair of fitting shoes. Can't wait to see the next step.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So there we go. Francis Waplinger, part of this new generation of bespoke artisans, American bespoke artisans doing work at the highest level. Again, one of the things I love so much about the bespoke process is the journey. It's not one and done. It's not just walking in and then walking out. There really is an opportunity to savor that process, to experience it, and that is just as much part of the process to me as the final product. And so this first fitting is part of what really makes bespoke shoes and bespoke suits fun, is to be able to experience that journey, that evolution, and really the refinement of the product that ultimately results in that bespoke jacket or that bespoke pair of shoes that then every single time you wear them, you get to reflect back again to those memories. So it's great to welcome Francis back into this studio, to be able to go through this first fitting with him. And I have to say, I'm really encouraged and looking forward to the second fitting and to ultimately own a pair of shoes handmade by Francis Waplinger here in America. Of course, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, give us the thumbs up. And then if you haven't visited KirbyAllison.com, it's one of the best ways to support the work that we're doing here on this YouTube channel. There you'll find the largest collection of luxury garment care and luxury shoe care accessories in the world, as well as other great clothing accessories for the well-dressed, like this necktie, pocket square, and so much more. We also have a new Patreon page, which is the newest way to support our work. 100% of the proceeds from our Patreon will go to support our ability to travel, to really explore the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Of course, I'm Kirby Allison, and I love to help the well-dressed acquire and care for their wardrobes while exploring the world of quality, craftsmanship, and tradition. Thanks for watching.